joining me again for another dinner. So tonight we're going to make a pork stew, and it's going to be flavors that are, I guess, a mix between Indian and African flavors that we're going to be using. So we're going to do a pork stew, and I got about a pound of pork there, boneless stew meat, and I'm using rainbow chard, and we have a half of a chopped onion, 2 Roma tomatoes chopped up. I do have a habanero that I'm going to put in there for a little bit of kick. Salt and pepper to taste. I'm also going to be using a tomato and a chicken bouillon cube. We're going to use some red palm oil, about a teaspoon of turmeric, garlic, minced ginger, and curry powder. I know that might all sound weird and different flavors, but I promise you it combines so well, and by the end of this dish I'll make you a believer. Alright, so stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is put in a couple teaspoons of my palm oil. And then I'm going to start browning our pork. Just had to rinse that spoon off because I like to clean as I go. Plus I'm going to use that spoon again to measure out my seasonings. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting our pork in here. Beautiful. If you're cooking for more than just a couple of people, you'll definitely want to use more than just a pound of the pork stew. Okay, so I'm going to add in our curry powder. That's a little less than a tablespoon there. Perfect, and it smells so good. I love the smell of curry powder. And we're going to add a little turmeric. You don't need a whole lot of turmeric unless you like it. That's about a teaspoon right there. Unless you really like it, I guess. I want these seasonings to really coat our pork before I start adding everything else into it. It smells so good in here. I'm a huge fan of Indian spices. I love to go to the local Indian market and buy my spices there. Because they're so flavorful plus you get them at a better price if you buy them directly there than in your big box supermarkets. Okay, while that's sizzling away, what I'm going to add next are our onions. I got a piece of the chard in there, but that's alright. Beautiful. You can use spinach or any other green you really like in this dish. My two favorite go-to greens are spinach and chard. I love rainbow chard. And I don't think it's used as often by people. Maybe because they're not sure what it tastes like. It really doesn't have a bitter taste. It's really mellow to me, like a spinach. Alright, so I'm going to be adding in some water soon, so I'm going to go ahead and break our bouillon cubes into there. Here's my tomato one. Just going to break that up. And my chicken. I'm not going to add any other salt to it until mid-cooking, just so I could see if it really needs it or not. A lot of times I find I don't need the extra salt. It tastes good just the way it is. What I do like to add though is some black pepper. And then, there we go. I got this really cool thing when I was in Istanbul this year. Beautiful place. Wonderful food. Wonderful people. So friendly. I look forward to going back there. For the coffee alone. Oh my gosh, coffee like I've never had before. So good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add some water. I'm not going to add a whole lot. Maybe 1 cup for now. The reason for that is because I want to gauge the flavors while it cooks. And I'm not looking for a soupy stew. I want it to be a thick stew. A hearty, thick stew. Alright. To that, I'm going to go ahead and add our tomatoes. If you would rather use a tomato paste, or really even tomato sauce, you could. Sometimes I like to use tomato paste, and then with the whole tomatoes, I'll blend them up prior to putting them in here. But I do want a little bit of a thicker stew, so I want to keep the tomatoes a little whole. Somewhat whole, at least. Okay, we're going to add some garlic. If you have whole garlic, use whole garlic. That's so much simpler for me to just buy it minced because I use it so often in our dishes. Or even if you just want to use like a garlic powder, that'll work too. Or if you don't like garlic, you can leave it out. And ground ginger, that's really going to smooth out that curry and turmeric flavor. I just want about a teaspoon. Get that blended in. I'm going to let this cook for maybe about 10-15 minutes. And then I'll go ahead and add in my rainbow chard and my habanero. I'll actually throw in right now. Again, if you don't like it spicy, leave it out. I'm going to leave it whole. Sometimes I do cut it to let that heat get even more immersed into my dishes, but I'm going to put it in whole. Toward the end of the dish, I may break it open after, of course. I scoop my portion out and let my husband get the hotter part. Alright, we'll be right back, guys. Alright, let's take a look at our stew. Oh, that looks fantastic. Perfect. So what I'm going to go ahead and add next are greens. And like with any fresh cut greens, it's going to look like a whole lot, but you know that's going to cook down. Just going to stir it. If you want a little soupier stew, you could add water right now. I'm going to maybe add just a tiny bit of water. Not much. Just so that our greens have enough liquid in there to cook down. And I'm going to let this go for probably a good 30 to 35 minutes before I serve. And once it's completed and plated, we'll be back. Thank you. Alright guys, this is the finished product, plated. I'm going to serve this with the side of white rice, but you could serve this with so many different sides. You can serve this from anything from a tortilla to fufu. It'll go well either way. But tonight we're going to do this with rice. Thanks again for joining me. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and comment and subscribe. Thanks. Bye-bye.